We're going to just talk about, why average people can become millionaires, particularly in real estate. You know, it's a cool subject, really. And what I would tell you is that and I'm going to flip through a couple things that we'll just pick up, and we can watch some videos together here. Let a few more people jump in the site. But I don't know what your experience is with millionaires. I mean, I became one quite young, and I really I attribute my success to being the fact that I came from super modest means. You know, we were on welfare, hand-me-down clothes. There's some pain that goes with that. I laugh about it. I mean, I didn't know any better when I was a kid, but having crap clothes, shitty neighborhood, some rough neighbors. It's not fun. But I'll tell you what, it builds character, it builds strength like crazy, and a lot of people that don't get that, they're just not as resilient as tough. Oh, look at, hey, I'm talking about how tough, and here's Keith from the hood. How you doing, Keith? Keith in the class, by the way. Keith, tell me something. Yeah, I know I don't know, how would you describe your upbringing? Were you in a tough neighborhood? Was it tough or not? I know you're black. I know you're near Compton, and I've been in Compton. You know my story in Compton from Mr. Brown, the advice Mr. Brown gave me. But just curious. Hey, Liam in New Jersey. There's another guy. There's a common guy right there. Talk about average people becoming millionaires. Liam is one of them right there. I mean, he's an extraordinary guy, but on average, he's like me. He's just he's a carpenter, and I'm a carpenter, and I got rich in real estate. Liam, same thing. He got rich in real estate. In fact, he got rich while being under my tutelage, in the mentorship. But he's a kick-ass builder, and hell yeah, super tough. Keith says, you mean tough beginning there? So, it's funny. When I was young, I lived in, my parents divorced, and so it's already a nightmare, right? And we lived in this duplex. I think this was before they were separated. And, it had a party line that rings twice, it's yours. If it rings once, it's your neighbor's call, and you could listen in each other's calls and all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyways, but it wasn't high living. And I remember, we lived, it was kind of a little bit of a poor area there too, because folks would be in and out of work and that sort of thing. And I lived next to the Robinsons, and a great black family. Not everybody was great in the family. Some were pretty mean, pretty tough. But I remember being a young kid, and I met the Robinsons, and there was these kids that had a nice house across the street, a couple of white guys, brothers. They were actually terrible people. But when I got to know them all, I kind of had a crush on the one teenage black girl. I was a little boy, but I remember I was just in awe of her. She's so beautiful. And one of the brothers, he wasn't so crazy about me being in awe of his older sister. And that's when I got my first introduction to getting kneed in the balls and pushed into a thorny blackberry bush, which followed after getting kicked in the balls. And so it was not fun. It was not fun. And, I like I said, I don't think the folks lived with me at that time. I don't think I had my dad in the house. So I didn't have anybody that really kind of had my back. So it was a little bit tougher. And then moving new into the neighborhood, I didn't really have any friends to get my back either. Pretty sucky. But and I'm going to get to the point here about average people becoming millionaires, because believe me, I was, below average income. I wouldn't even call it middle class. We were like middle class when the folks worked. When the folks didn't work, we quickly sank. And that's kind of how it was. If you're in aircraft, Boeing, Lockheed, McDonald does. My dad's worked for all these places. My dad's long dead now. But that was kind of the thing. So Edgar wrote, hey, Tom, I live in Santa Ana, California. Would you recommend for someone to get into real estate? Oh, yeah, dude, I made my first $1 million in California. Yeah, Edgar, by the way, and I'm glad I'm glad you brought this up because I'm such a terrible podcaster, but go to flipanythingusa.com, and I'm just going to tell everybody, and just go in here to apply for mentorship, or the webinar, either one, doesn't matter. And you can go in here, look at these success stories. You can see all these guys here. These are average people that have become millionaires, even multimillionaires. Liam, who's in here, is actually in this group too. But just click on here. You're going to get an email from me, and I got a gift for you. Going to be so cool, and it will be something that you will enjoy very much. I can't tell you exactly what it is just at the moment, but do get on the mailing list. If you ever want off, just opt out. No big deal. I am not a harasser. I don't have any salespeople working for me. None of that crap will happen. But anyhow, back to my tough life in living in, this is in Washington at the time. Like I said, no dad in the house at that time. So didn't have any friends, so it was really, really rough. Introduction to the neighborhood, was getting kicked in the nuts and pushed into a berry bush. And it was rough. And the folks that we lived next door to, they were poor too. The Robinsons, they were poor. But you know what? Talk about resourceful. The Mrs. Robinson was just a wonderful woman. Oh, and this is what I remember. This is funny. I'll tell you what. Their whole house was carpeted. Their entire house was carpeted with the samples that you would get from a carpet store. So I'm looking down, and it's like the house was like a quilt. It was just patch after patch after patch after patch put together. The entire house was of samples. Pretty resourceful, right? But it was nice, and I remember thinking it was pretty interesting at the time. But she made the best sweet hot pickles, right? So in other words, she was canning. And I would just like beg the younger brother I got along with well, I'd say, oh man, get out one of those pickles, because they were just sweet and hot and just absolutely amazing. And then the other thing is, they were next door. It's like, hey, we're going to kill a bunch of chickens. What? Just like culture shock for me at the time. Go over there. They're cutting the heads off chickens. They're boiling these, carcasses. And I'm in there and we're pulling the feathers out of these chickens. And she made great chicken too, by the way. I didn't get enough of that, but it was a lot of fun and it was interesting. But everybody was kind of poor in the neighborhood, and this isn't rough. Like I don't ever remember seeing a gun or any of this stuff. There was a lot of people, plenty of people that were plenty mean to each other. But we didn't have guns. We didn't have a lot of the concerns that you'd have in some of these places. But I'll tell you, it builds character. To go without, right? To go without, which I just read Manny Koshman's book. He has 2 books. He's got a second book, which I like Manny real well. But he's got a second book. He got The Contrarian, but he's got another one, which is kind of interesting. And I'm going to write a book like this too myself, where he kind of tells about his path, tells about the adversity that he went through and how he, incrementally became more and more successful. And so we're going to get into that as well. But not today, but I will do that at some point. But so average people become millionaires. And I just wanted to show you something. I went ahead and ran that real quick just to see what would come up with. And I have no idea who this guy is, but I'm just going to play some of these shorts here just because they're quick and entertaining. Let's just listen.
Did you know that 80% of millionaires were not born rich? That's right. There was a study that was put out by Dave Ramsey where they interviewed like 10,000 millionaires, and what they found is that 8 out of every 10 of those individuals that became millionaires came from low income or middle income families. Even if you start the race and you don't come from wealth, you can absolutely make it. Did you know that 80% of millionaires
so that's
were not
interesting.
born?
I went to the short, but I had not listened to the whole thing. I just started it. But like I said, came from low income, right? That's me. That's Manny Koshman. I'm not sure if that would be. The story for Ben Malla. I think so. Actually, I think so. He talked about his dad being a pretty cheap, terrible person, as I recall. But the point here, if you just got in, we're talking about average people can become millionaires in real estate. And one of the things I'll say is, you know what? I got a whole room full of them. All these guys you see here are average people that, that are trying to get a better life, went to college, went to work, went in construction. And most of these guys in this picture, most of these people in my class that you see here are millionaires now. And that's a big boast. I don't know anybody that comes even close to the kind of students that I got. A good school, you judge a good school by its students, right? When I put my kids in school, I go down and look at the class. The class looks like shit. My kid ain't going in there. And so very, very interesting. And some of the students are in here. Russ, I don't know your story. I don't know if you came from wealth or not, or middle class, or it doesn't really matter. But Russ is a super hustler, so I suspect he came from modest means, or he was raised right where they didn't give anything. Because Russ has been a rock star in my class, by the way. So always good to see you in here, Russ, and everybody. Everybody that's in here, Keith, Liam, everyone. But so let's look at a couple more of these shorts. And anybody, please, throw it in here if you got something to say. Oh yeah, Keith said, Ben had it kind of rough. Yeah. It sounded like his dad might have had a little bit of money, but he was a tightwad and a cheapskate or something like that. And I don't want to misquote him, but I remember a little bit of that in one of the Ben Molliff videos that I'd seen. But everybody kind of has the same dreams, and it doesn't even matter what state or country you're from. I remember being in China. I went on a trip to China, and I remember I had a little Chinese girl, getting like a 2-hour massage on my back, and while she's working on my back, there's a TV, and the TV is, what is it? It's Richard Gere and, what's her name? What's the show with she was a prostitute that got, taken away and was smitten by the millionaire, and they fell in love, etc. Anyways, what's that show? Somebody help me out with that show if you can remember it. But anyways, so while this girl's working on my back, I'm listening to the show in English. I don't see it. I'm just face down, getting my back walked on. And she's watching the show. She doesn't speak any English. And while she's watching it, I hear a funny part. She's reading it in Taiwanese, and she's all of a sudden, hee, 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 hee. She's laughing, and she's going, "Aw," at the romantic parts. And it was a quick education for me to say, we're all the same. Everybody kind of has the same goals and aspirations. They want to make money. They want to fall in love. They want a better life. And so it was very, very cool. Pretty Woman. Thank you, Russ. Pretty Woman. And it was Pretty Woman. So it was a very, very interesting, back rub, I have to tell you. And it was very endearing. I'll never forget it because it was just very sweet. So Ramon wrote, Manny's book is great. More about mindset. Tom's book is How to and Guide to Buying Real Estate. I first bought the ebook, then I bought the hard copy so I can take notes on it. Hey, thanks, Ramon. I appreciate that. And so Manny's, which are you talking about Manny's latest book? Because Manny's got The Contrarian, which I read, which I can't even find it on there anymore. I was looking for it. I was going to tell him that. But the other one is... he's got a new one, but I think it's just talking about, he just talks about some of the hardships. He started and lost, did something, hit a little bit of a home run here and there, and just he kind of got the formula, put it together. But he's also somebody who came from very, very modest means. So Russ wrote, so I was asking Russ if he, where he came from, and he said, nope, come from poverty, grew up on powdered milk. Okay, so Russ knows. Russ, like myself, we know very well what powdered milk is, free cheese, Caro syrup, and all the stuff that comes with the welfare wagon when you're on welfare as a kid. It's what motivated me to get out of it, 100%. And how about your brothers? I know you got a few brothers, Russ. It seems like everybody's doing pretty good in your family, right? Was everybody equally motivated as such? No, okay, yeah, that's The Contrarian, Ramon. There's another book, by the way. We can look it up here in a second. So look, let's go back to the shorts here a little bit, and you guys go ahead, please comment. We'll always love to take us into a different direction, or anything relevant is always cool. So let's listen to some more of this.
Rich. That's right. There was a...
Raise your hand if you were born into a rich family. Well, not me, I better put that back down. I bet most of us weren't so lucky. Okay, I wasn't. I grew up very poor. But don't let that stop you from becoming a millionaire. In fact, a survey of 10,000 millionaires revealed that a whopping 79% did not receive any kind of inheritance from their parents. They started from nothing. This means that ordinary people like you, like me.
So, hey, on that note, listen, my mother is still alive. Can you imagine? I'm 62 years old. Can you imagine waiting for an inheritance for the good life? I'm 62. I mean, my mom's got dementia, and I take care of her. But my dad died 10 years ago. My dad had dementia, and I had Alzheimer's. I had to take care of him. But a friend of mine actually hit a very big home run when he was 35 years old, made, tens of millions of dollars. He he started something, amazing little thing, started in Los Angeles, took off like crazy. 3 years later, sold the company for maybe $30-40 million, got a divorce, split the money, and really hadn't worked since, other than just things that, works out. He's in great shape, good guy. And the deal is, food stamps. Hey, Keith, we got to talk about food stamps. Anyways, but what I was going to say about him is, when he hit all this wealth, he hit it, hit H-I-T. He hit this big wealth, and so he was immediately worried because he got his kids, and he was worried about, the money and how do I distribute to my kids? Do I do it before they get older? He doesn't want to ruin them, right? And so he went to, these different, lawyers that handle, high wealth individuals, and he started talking to them and said, hey, what really screws the kids up? And they said anticipated wealth. When a kid anticipates that he is going to get his mother or father's wealth, it ruins them because it kind of takes the drive out of you, right? I never had to worry about ever thinking about anticipated wealth. Never. When my parents went on a vacation, which was very rare, it didn't usually include the kids, right? It meant they're going to Hawaii or they're going to do something together. So let's go back to comments here a little bit. So Jacob Sapp said, hey, Tom, does your barbell method work in pretty much everywhere? Listen, it doesn't have to just be in a city. It can be across the state. If you go to California and you go back to Texas, which I did for a long time, I had property in both. I had, millions of dollars in real estate in both places. This one I was just getting running. And, in fact, I can show you that barbell in a second. But yeah, Keith knows the powdered milk. Food stamps. Let me tell you about food stamps. So they used to have a thing called blue chip stamps. This is probably before most of you would even know. Blue chip stamps, and they had, I think, green chip stamps or something too. But anyways, that your people would have these books, and they would collect the stamps. They'd get stamps when they buy stuff, and they'd keep their stamps, and they'd paste them in these little booklets. And then pretty soon when they had enough booklets, you'd go to like the blue chip stamp store or the green. Son, look up blue chip stamps or something like that, son. Nick, Ryan, look up blue chip stamps. I'm getting it wrong, but it's something from back in the 60s and 70s. But you would go in, and they would have you could get a bicycle or whatever. These stamps had value. And, they sold the grocery stores into the different stores into doing these things. And it was a good promotion. It worked for a while, but, the internet and other things, long before the internet actually, it died for other reasons. There's a story on that, and it's worth watching. Try to find it. Green chip or blue chip stamps. S&H. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to show you guys this because this is kind of interesting. Blue chip stamps. I want you guys to see this because, again, this is what average people come from, right? Blue chip stamps. 1970 probably-ish, something like that. So Wikipedia has it here. Look at remembering blue chip stamps. And so let's see what we can find out here. Do Wikipedia on this. See, these are the stamps, right? And you would get these stamps, and then you would put them in these books, and they would have the blue chip stamp store. Maybe I can find you something like that. Blue chip stamp store. Let's look at images. Yeah, so look at all this. See, look at that. It'd be like a little store like that you'd go to. And then see, look at, here's S&H. S&H was the competitor. S&H green stamps. So there's green stamps and blue stamps, and these are the kinds of things you could get. You get a clock, pay out a clock if you had enough stamps. These are the books that you would stick your collection of stamps in. Green stamps and blue chip stamps. Anyways, it was interesting. It was interesting, and it's a part that you guys most of you never got to see, but but those are the things that they would hang on to. In order to, get by, and maybe it'd be like kind of putting money away for Christmas, hanging on to these things. And I remember being stuck in a car. I was stuck in we constantly, our car broke down. So many times I'd be sitting in the back of the car with my sister. We'd be sweating to death, and we'd be looking at the hood of the car, right, from the seat. And my dad would be under the hood trying to fix the car, jump the battery, waving somebody down for help, whatever. Rambler American. And we had an old Comment on top of that as well. But I remember just sweltering in that car at an auto parts store, and we're starving. We're trying to find anything we can find to eat, and we're digging through the car, and we find like under the floor mat or something, we find a blue chip stamp, and we were like so happy. Let me tell you why. This dirty stamp, it had mint flavored glue on the back, mint flavored glue. So ripped that thing in half, gave one to my sister, and I'd had the other half, and we're like licking this thing on like a super low class popsicle. But it was something to eat, and it was a way to entertain ourselves for a little while. It was very, very interesting time. But so look, let's kind of go back here to these guys and run through the rest of these a little bit.
We don't really need that head start to make it. All we need is the drive to achieve the gains, the financial freedom, to put in the work and do it. As one famous billionaire said, if you're born poor, it's not your mistake. But if you die poor, it is your mistake.
Yeah,
Raise your hand.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So the other thing is, there's people that are motivated by fear, right? And some people are so petrified by fear that they don't want to try because they have a fear of failure, right? The fear of, it's a book too, a fear of failure. They're afraid to fail, so therefore they do not try. They don't want to look foolish. And then a lot of times they're so embarrassed to take control. And this is what, if you get in my class, if you get in Flip Anything USA, believe me, you will be taking control of your assets and building your money by yourself, just like all the people you see behind me right now. These guys are millionaires, many of them now already, in a very short time that I've been teaching people what I know. But what I wanted to get at is that, people don't want to take control of their assets, so sometimes they'll hand it to they'll hand it to like a Chris Crone or a Grant Cardone or somebody else. Like, in other words, that way, if they blow it, if they don't get a good return, they didn't fail. The guy that they trusted failed. And that's, I don't know why that's any consolation to anybody. You pissed your money away. You pissed your money away. You didn't take care of it. You didn't make it work. So, but some people are inclined to that. They don't want to they don't want to be the, they don't want to own it, right? They don't want to own it. And there's nothing better than owning it. I mean, I'm talking about you do the research, you find the property, you make it happen. Maybe you have to take a partner at first, or maybe you buy it by yourself, but you own it, right? Now, sink or swim, it's your baby. But some people don't want that. They're afraid if it fails, they got to go, yeah, I failed, right? But listen, I tell my students, listen, pay extra money. Go get a hard money loan if that's what you have to do. If you've got the knowledge to making money, you don't even want a partner. You don't want a partner because a partner means you got to give half your money away to somebody else. If you can swing it by yourself, paying extra money for a hard money loan, 10, 20% interest, whatever, that is nothing compared to giving up 50%. Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody brings in the money, and I got plenty of examples when I first started, I had to get a partner. I was 19 years old buying real estate. I didn't have bad credit. I had no credit. I just didn't have a history. So when I had something I needed to buy, I didn't have cash and I didn't have credit. So I took a partner. After a few years, I made enough money that pretty soon I was dealing with cash. I didn't even need a partner. And by the time I was 25, I was buying, in fact, I'll show you this real quick. Check this out. This is my home when I was 25 years old. I bought that by myself, $147,000. That was back in 1987. Big, beautiful pool, giant diamond shape, had 50 cypress trees all the way around. A lot of privacy, very cool. Look at it. Most everybody else around me had pool. Guess what? This was like what they called it, like Pill Hill, right? Pill Hill. This is where the doctors were. I had doctors, I had attorneys, I had all the successful people around me that were twice my age. And here I am, 25, sitting in this beautiful pad. And it was a very, very cool thing. And that's the kind of stuff that I would really like my students and those of you that are watching, I would like you to know about that. I would like you to experience the thrill of making money in better late than never, right? If you're 35, 45 years old, hey, better late than never. And believe me, I got people in my class made $1 million, in 18 months. So it can happen very, very quick, but it is never going to happen if you don't, take control and start doing some stuff. So online skills says my mom used to collect these stamps as well. Yep. Anyways, I don't know what Zodies is. That's funny, almost like Zodies. Well, you got me there, Keith. What's Zodies? I don't know Zodies. Maybe that was more of an area that was more in your area. But so look, back to the clips, and if you just got here, hey, by the way, look, you can call up right now if you want to have a call. Anybody want to share or talk? Always love that. Appreciate that. There's the phone number right there. All you got to do is pick up the phone, and you can, we can talk. Anybody got a real estate issue? You got something to share? You want to talk about being poor? Love the poor stories. Believe me, I got some good ones. Anyways, there's the number, 424-866-7929. Anywhere you're calling from, any question you got, just go ahead.
That is that
Shoot
real
away.
millionaires are ordinary people like you and I. Majority millionaires aren't these super wealthy living in ritzy neighborhoods like Beverly Hills or the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Yes, the super wealthy have very visible signs of wealth. Big mansions, big jets, and big luxury cars. And because they have so much money, a new car is barely a dent in their total net worth. However, that is not the average millionaire. As the book showed over and over again, the average millionaire is someone who carefully saves and invests over time, remains frugal, and constantly plans for the future. I know, super boring,
Okay,
but that is how they became a millionaire.
Yeah, that's a boring millionaire. You don't have to be that frugal and go that slow. Oh, let's see. We got somebody calling in. This is great. Hey, Tom here. Who's on?
Hey,
Who's
Tom.
calling?
Awesome.
Hang on. I got
We've
my headphones
actually
off.
talked, I think,
Sorry.
once
Go
or twice
ahead.
before. I just had a question. I don't know if you can answer it. I don't know if you remember, but I live in Canada, right? And I want to move to the States so I can do some real estate investing. I mean, I know I can do it here, but the the way the taxes and the laws are set up over here, it's just
I got you.
really bad. So
Hey.
yeah, I heard about a couple ways to get to the States to do real estate investing, but if I apply for a normal visa, it'll probably take 7 to 10 years.
That's sorry. You hear me okay, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, listen, just go to flipanythingusa.com, sign up for the webinar or the other, and you'll get an email from me, and we'll schedule a call. You're kind of way off topic here with all this visa stuff and Canada stuff, but I'd be happy to talk to you about it. I do appreciate you calling. But trying to stay a little bit more on topic in here at the moment. But I appreciate you calling. But for sure, listen, I've got people in the class from Canada, Australia. I got people in Spain, people that have made all kinds of money. So very interested to talk to you, but not at this moment. It's kind of veering off subject too much. So do it again.
Okay, no, I get it. I mean, I don't know if I'm really going to do that because I already did kind of talk to you from that. I just had this one question I was asking.
Oh yeah, I don't know much. I mean, yeah, just give me call me direct, or hit me up and we'll have a call.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I got another caller here.
See ya.
Yep. Hello. Who's calling?
This is Miguel.
Hey, Miguel. What do you want to talk about? You got anything related to the topic?
I just got connected to you guys, and I don't want to get off topic. So let me know what the topic is. I might have something to ask.
Okay. Well, if you're watching the video, we're just talking about coming from modest means and welfare and poverty and how it builds character. And this is something, you got to be careful with. If like I'm a wealthy guy, I got 4 kids and, nobody hurts for anything. And so you got to be more, you got to be, you don't want to go live in the slums just for character for everybody. But so you want to, you just got to be, teach your kids to be, respectful and do the right thing. And I've got great kids. And I got to say, I've talked to people that were wealthy, went to Yale. I've got some guys in jiu-jitsu. I'm in jiu-jitsu. And complete gentlemen that were raised in upper high class. And it's just the way you're raised. But go ahead, Miguel. I don't want to shoot you down. What else?
No, just want to check. Have you listened to Greg Manarino? He's got a lot of issues in reference to the way the real estate is going to come on at the end of the year. Do you have any input in something like that? I mean, I know you can go out and buy a lot of real estate right now, but I'm trying to see if I can get into wholesaling.
Yeah, listen, wholesaling is a waste of time. So look, I'm going to tell you the same thing because if you want to really get into real estate, you want to make some money, listen, take time, and I'm going to change the screen here so people can see. I have more average guys that have become millionaires than anybody. I don't know anybody that has near the success as I do in my program. And you'll know these guys if you get in the class. But so let's start with that. Sign up for a webinar. I'll send you a pre-recorded webinar, and I'll let you schedule a call. And listen, I don't care about the money. I care about success for the people that are interested in creating success for themselves. So anyways, but thanks for calling, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. What was your name? Miguel? Very good. And I can barely hear you too, which is a little bit, it's hard to deal with. I can barely hear you.
Yeah, I got a call at about 5 o'clock today, so I just figured I'd give him my questions in now.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, I can barely hear you is one of my problems here. So yeah, just set it up and I'll hit you back and we'll set up a call.
All right. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Bye now. All right. Yeah. Calling is not working too well. I've got an issue with my phone here. It's just not coming in particularly well. But we're Sears and Woolworths. I see, Keith. So anyways, the bottom line is what I've seen is the people that have made the most money. In fact, Vince McMahon, I tell you guys, you should watch this. If you guys are really interested, watch Vince McMahon, right? That's the WWE, WWF, right? Let's punch him in here. I just started watching this series. I think it's on Netflix. Yeah, this guy here, right? Vince McMahon. So he was raised by his grandparents. He didn't even know his dad until he was 12 years old. And, that's pretty rough. And, but he built $1 billion empire. And, it's pretty interesting. He's really a goofy guy. I bet he's smart. I mean, he's smart like a fox. He knows exactly what he's doing. But I highly recommend you watch that. That show because he's 81 years old now, but he made his money all through the years when I was a young man, because that's when they started the WWF. And I never liked that stuff myself. I just wasn't into it, but I had plenty of friends and roommates that absolutely ate that shit up. And I thought, it's fake, and they're like, yeah, they didn't care. It's entertainment. That's what I didn't realize. It's entertainment. And man, you talk about money, man, but it is a fantastic show to watch. And you'll see a guy that just, he grew with the public, because what happened was, they used to have a thing called closed circuit TV. Some of you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but you would go, if you wanted to see like the Kentucky Derby, you'd go down to the fairgrounds. They'd put it on a big screen, and then you could place bets, but you could watch the races there. Forget cable. There was no cable. Closed circuit TV. So that preceded cable, the way I recall it. And so that's what they did they started doing it with wrestling. And just to sum up the deal is, it was kind of a gentleman's honor between all these wrestling leagues. They had WWE, that's what he had, and he had like 4 or 5 states in the USA. Everybody had these certain amount of states, and it wasn't all that coordinated. It was more like just gentlemen, running their businesses, and have different, leagues of different, kinds. But he kind of stepped it up. He was taking over his dad's. He finally got to meet his dad when he was 12, and then by the time he was 20 or so, he started commentating, and he started learning the business. And then his dad was getting tired. He said, "Hey, Dad, sell the place to me." And so his dad made a deal, sold it to him. And he didn't think his dad expected him to make it, but he did make it. And man, he took off like crazy. But he expanded. He kind of brought something new to the table that his dad was kind of old-fashioned and didn't want to. Pissed off all the other guys that had these areas, because he started going into their territories. And then when he did closed-circuit TV, he was all over the USA now, and he was making a huge name for himself. And and then he created WrestleMania, and he took in Cyndi Lauper, who was a big singer back at that time, and he started getting in, he brought entertainment to it, an aspect at a whole different level than they had done before. They were always characters and stuff. I remember being about 7 years old, and I remember my mom and her boyfriend, or my mom, my dad, I can't remember now, were going to see a wrestler. They were going to see a wrestler, and it might have been whoever's famous back in like 1969 or something like that, because that's about when it would have been. Really open your eyes up. If you really want to get ahead And I don't care if you're rich or not, or average or whatever. In fact, I really feel like you're at a disadvantage if you are well off, if you're spoiled, if you do have money, because you may not have the drive that like somebody like me has, somebody like Russ has, somebody like Keith has. So many people that are self-employed and everything else, they're driven, right? That's one of the reasons I became an entrepreneur so earlier. I had to make money. I didn't get allowance, and I was getting free lunch at school, but I was buying candy, taking it to school, and I was selling it. And I'd buy a nickel sucker, and I would sell it for 10 cents if that's all they had. If they had a quarter, I'd sell it for a quarter. I would sell it for as much as I possibly could to whoever I could. That's how I made my money. People still even ask me, hey, how do you figure out what to charge people with different businesses you have? I say I charge as much as I can possibly get away with and still make everybody happy. And that's really a good way to go. So Keith just wrote, TV went off at 12 and at 12 a.m. and the Star Spangled Banner played. Okay, yeah, you're talking about so you're up there in some years, Keith, because I remember that too. At the end of the night, the TVs would go off. TV signals would shut off, and then you'd be staring at, it looked like a target, and then next thing you know, Star Spangled Banner and jets flying over. In fact, it's funny you say that because it brings back some memories. We could actually pull some of that up. Let's look at that real quick. TV era, Star Spangled Banner, TV. I'm gonna write. How do we call it? TV-ins. Let's see what it looks like. Yes, the sign off. Check it out. This is what you would see when the TV stations would sign off at the end of the night. Thanks, Keith. I'll speed this up just a hair. Benny Hill. Yeah, well, this is how it would sign off. But let's look at some other. Yeah, let's go back into this YouTube here just a little bit. TV, let's do TV sign off. I know we're kind of getting off subject here, guys. But yeah, this is how it would end. Yeah, look at old TV sign offs. But so when you're a little kid, this is one that I remember. Look at this, 1970s, right? That would have made me about 8 years old. Let's see. Yep. But that's how the television. I mean, that's the they were turning the TV off for everybody across the world at that time, and there was other things too. There was I'd like to see the old Indian Target looking thing. Yeah. Anyways. Oh well. All right. So back on subject here, and then we'll wrap it up, everyone. But hey, listen, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'm 62, I'm making money in real estate all these years. Now I'm teaching other people how to do it, and I'm making friends all over the country, and it's been a wonderful thing. And Rich Kids had, Betamax, I actually had bought, because I was doing pretty well. I was doing pretty well at 17, 18, but I had bought what was the there was Beta and then the other one. Beta it was actually a superior tape, but the other one took off. Beta was the small tapes, VHS, right? I had a VHS player. I had it for about a week, and then I cut my thumb off. See that thumb? Can you see how one thumb's a little bit shorter than the other? Yeah, it's this one actually. If that lines up. You can see. Anyways, that's a blade width. I cut my thumb off in a table saw, and I had to keep my thumb above my heart for like the next 6 weeks. Otherwise, I was going to lose it, and because it was pretty nasty. But I had to sell. What was funny is I had to sell my VCR. I paid $800 for it back then, and I remember I sold it to my landlord. I gave it to my landlord for rent because I was getting behind in rent. I said, "Here, I'll just take this." And then next, I bought an electric guitar the night before I cut my thumb off. We went down to Guitar Center and I bought a Stratocaster, and my buddy, Van Halen was taking off at that time, and my buddy bought a Flying V, right? Everybody wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. So Ramon says, I'm 47, and in high school I had friends whose parents had a lot of money, but my friends still had to hustle and pay their way while in school, working fast food. A lot of parents pamper their kids now. Well, and listen, when you can afford to pamper them, you want to keep them safe. Look, I put two of my girls through college, and they had apartments. They were safe. They were taken care of. They did not have to work. As long as they were in school, they did not have to work. Now, I know that's not the case. I know plenty of people that had to do both, right? Work and, go through school. In fact, it's tough stuff. There's some tough stuff out there. Anyways, like I say, you really don't want it easy. If you do, the problem is that's what everybody's after, right? Easy money. And listen, and that's why people are so easy to take advantage of, right? And that's why, I'm going to sum it up here. You get in my class, and like I said, if you just got here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, take some time, go to Flip Anything USA, and take a look at this, because listen, if you're not involved in real estate, you should be. If you got a great job, or maybe you don't even have a good job, or maybe you have a good company, or a business. Listen, I don't care how good your business is. It doesn't compare to the money you can make by taking some of your cash and parlaying it into real estate. And, there's just one, and this is one of my favorite guys right now, one of my favorite students right here. I like him so much because he got in, and I just got to play just a tiny bit of him for a second.
Yes, I'm close on it now. I'm painting now, and don't have probably another 3 weeks, and it'll be listed. Should make at least 100.
Tom here, Flip Anything USA, got a very special guest here. This is Shane George. He's a fantastic student. He's already made 3 deals. Shane, welcome to the podcast, and appreciate you taking time here to. So since I did this video, he just made another deal, but he made a deal. He made $13,000. Then he made another deal. He made $110,000. Then he made another deal, made $120,000, and he just got another deal. I mean, those are closed, sold. He's got the cash. He just closed another one. He got it for $122,000. He figures it's worth about $250,000, and I trust his judgment because he's already done so well. But you're talking about a guy that's been in the class for less than a year, makes like $229,000 in like a year, and now he's about to make another $150,000. So he's already got almost $400,000, and this is in 2 years. And Shane is just salt of the earth, good old guy, and I know old, he's younger than me, but a good guy. And so Oded says, what would be a game changer for someone who's just starting? Well, listen. If you got common sense, you can read through the bullshit. You've got guys out there that are selling just absolutely the stupidest, this sub-2 garbage, or they just talk circles around you, and people get all enamored, and then they throw their money at these guys, and they get taken. And I'm telling you that if you need experience, if somebody can't show you specifically the money that they've made, then they are. If they could, they would. So what they do is they distract and they change the subject and they talk about all this other bullshit. And so this is the kind of stuff you would expect. Like, this is my first $1 million in the 80s, right? 1980, I made my first $1 million. And these are just the properties that you see right here. There's about 100 properties here. There's probably 60 right over here on the hill. That was land. I got into land after I made quite a bit of money on buildings. I made, several $100,000 on these different buildings, and then on land, I made $300,000 just on a single piece of land out here. Made another 100 on this little piece of land out here. But those are the things that can happen. I'm not going to bore you guys too much with this stuff. But then that gets parlayed into more, and then as I got older, then boom, different state and a lot more real estate. And now we're talking tens of millions of dollars. I can throw a rock and just hit one property after another that I own. And this is what's happening with my students. My students are doing the same thing now. And you guys can do it. You just don't know that you can do it. So listen, take the time, subscribe, go to Flip Anything USA. This is probably the most important thing I can tell you right now. Go to Flip Anything USA, hit the apply for mentorship, or hit the best one is do the apply for mentorship, because it's just a quick little form. There's like nothing. It's like that much you fill out. It's nothing. Fill that out and you get a free phone call with me. It doesn't get any better than that and cheaper. And so that's what you do, Oded. I just don't know what to tell you. There is no paragraph to answer a big question like that. Need a little more information. So, hey, thanks everybody for hanging out. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. And didn't want to do that.
Real millionaires.
Oh, what do I got to do?
There's one thing.
All right. I didn't mean to jump all over the place here, but it's been fun. It's been reminiscent to go back to those times that I lived in through the 70s and talking about these things that other people did too. But the bottom line is being poor is no obstacle to becoming wealthy. In fact, it's probably the reverse of that. If you're already a little bit spoiled and you're pampered, taken care of, you don't have the drive that you would otherwise have. But I'll tell you what, that drive comes back. I don't care if you've had a good middle-class life. Once you have a kid and have a wife and have a mortgage, you realize you are now the poor kid that I was as a teenager or younger, because now you're in the real world. Now you're 30, 40 years old, and you realize, shit, this great job I have is not going to take care of me through the rest of my life. It is not going to, it's like rent. Rent comes in whether I'm sleeping or not. In fact, I started to get a little bit of a cold today. And whenever I'm sick, I'll tell you, it puts a big smile on my face because I realize that I don't have to work. The money comes in whether I'm sick or not. Interest never sleeps, right? Neither do rents. Interest, I look forward to the end of the month. End of the month, that's when I'm collecting on the money that I have lent out, but even more so, it's the rents. The rents I collect. I used to dread the end of the month because I'd be paying bills, right? Like most of us. But now I look forward to the end of the month because that's when I'm collecting rent from all these blue dots that you see behind me. So that's all I can tell you now. Tommy, listen, same thing. Get in, go to flipanythingusa.com, and just everybody that's watching, coming in late, whatever, anybody that comes in, if you see this video, go to flipanythingusa.com. Just sign up for the mentorship. There is no salesman. There is nobody going to push you and overpromise and underdeliver, any of that bullshit. I don't care. I turn more people away than I actually let in, to be quite honest. I'm not after your money. I'm after success. That's how I want to go out. My legacy is going to be helping people that are hungry to make money, make that money. If people that come in that are complacent and don't care, I don't care to be with you. I don't care to help you, because it's just a waste of my time. You got to want it. You really got to want it. So, hey, everybody, thanks again for watching, and please subscribe. And here's your reminder, hit that subscribe, hit that like, comment too. Comment whether you like this video or not. I appreciate it. Helps the algorithm. YouTube squashes the shit out of me because I'm very open-minded and independent thinking, and I talk my mind about government, everything else, and when I do, they squash me because they don't like you talking about government. They don't like you talking poorly about anybody. So talk to you guys later. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the mentorship or in having a direct call. Just go in there and do something. Thanks for calling. Or thanks for watching.
And listen, time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything. USA, go.